Noah, let's come to you. Yours is a bit of a different story.
Yeah, just a bit.
GCSEs. Talk to me about your GCSEs.
I never sat them because I did them. Well, I was in the year when COVID closed all schools.
Okay.
So I just got my estimated grades as my final grades, which personally I think was a bit of a blessing in disguise for me. I was definitely more switched on in lessons than in the stress of taking exams.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was all really, GCSE time was really up in the air for my year.
Okay, and I think this is now the sort of the appropriate time to sort of talk about a little bit about you guys coming together, because so at that point, Noah, you had, what were your circumstances at that point with where you are within your journey now? Had you weren't with Team BRIT at that point, were you?
No, so GCSEs, I was 15 and then went into sixth form, started A levels, and about a term into my first year of A levels, I then had my accident on my motocross bike. And then after I missed the rest of that A level year, and I went back to school the next year after trying my best to catch up in the summer, and then I finished A levels that year.
Okay, so you got your A level results as well.
Yes, yeah.
And how was that compared to GCSEs?
I much preferred A levels. It was they're obviously harder and a bit more full on, but being able to focus on 3-4 subjects rather than 15 was a lot nicer.
And what 3 subjects did you do?
I did business studies, art studies, and film studies.
Okay, wow.
So a lot.
You want to go into TV?
Yeah, I really like cinema.
Did you?
Cinema, art, and business would have just a pretty solid, like if I needed anything in that area.
Okay, so that's really interesting. Is this, because I want to talk about your sport, obviously, but have you chosen those away from sport?
As a backup, a bit.
I love that. Have you always thought about that you always needed a backup?
Yeah, especially because my parents have been really supportive with anything I really wanted to choose, but at the same time, they have wanted me to be sensible about all of it because obviously we knew an accident like this could be a possibility with the sport I was doing, or just anything can go in a different direction with that. So having a backup and having A levels, because me being a 15-year-old naive child, I wanted to leave school after GCSEs and just carry on with my dirt biking, but mum and dad were like, you should probably do A levels, use that as backup, and they were right. Thank God I did.
Well, you've sort of got a different career now, but yeah, let's talk about that and talk about your experience. So you've always been into sport.
Yeah.
From your bio is from 5 that you got onto a bike, I believe. Tell us a little bit about the sport that you were involved in. Tell us obviously about what happened after your GCSEs and your accident.
Yeah, of course. So dad, put me on a motocross bike when I was 4. And I instantly took to it. I loved it. I mean, I grew up watching dad do it as well. And but at the time it was just kind of, a hobby and a bit of fun, to be honest. And yeah, around the time I was 15, I was starting to get, I was confident on the bike and wanting to push my ambitions a lot more on it. Until it got to the point where I thought this could be a career for me. The sport was like blowing up quite a lot. It was growing really fast. And my whole life I've always been desperate to do something that I love rather than something that, obviously I don't. And I never wanted to be sat behind a desk or inside or anything. I had to be doing something physical because that's what kept me happy like my whole life. So yeah, that was kind of the path I was going down, and it was all everything was lining up and the stars were aligning. I was still doing school, obviously in the background, like I just explained. And then every single moment I could get out of school, I would be riding and practicing. And my plan was then to eventually finish school, go to the States and compete there.
And you were doing a little bit of competition at that point anyway, weren't you?
I was starting to ride with a team that compete. Yeah.
So just tell us about what happened.
Yeah, so COVID time, as school closed, GCSEs just kind of been and gone, and it was finally time for us to go back to school. And because I had probably a couple months off the bike, I was desperate to get back on. So the day I was supposed to go back to school, I said, "Oh, let me just go back in late, and I just want to ride just for a couple hours." My parents were actually reluctant, but I did get my way in the end, and I went back to the ramp. And on the first jump, I usually jump 75 foot, which is competition distance, and that's what I was used to and was fine with. But I thought, to make things a bit safer, seeing as I haven't been on the bike for a while, I'll close the gap to about 50 foot, which is significantly shorter. It still sounds far, but when you look at the differences, it's a lot shorter. And I just went into autopilot and went a bit too far for that short of a jump and landed basically, I broke my back on the impact, and from then on was paralyzed from about my ribs down, which was it threw my world upside down.
So you're 15, not gone back.
Just 16. Yeah.
Just 16, not gone back, about to go back to school, and this all kicks off.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're in hospital, recovering?
Yes.
How long were you in hospital for?
I was in hospital for 21 weeks.
Okay.
And I moved around. I went straight to John Radcliffe Hospital to get surgery done on my back straight away to basically fuse my spine together. And then once I was medically fit, so able to eat, once I wasn't medically fit is what they told me. I can't remember a whole lot of it. Once I was medically fit, I was then transferred to Stoke Mandeville Hospital, which is a huge spinal unit. And then there I kind of had a little bit of physio, a little bit of rehab, and then I was kind of basically sent on my way. That was more to teach me how to live and be in a wheelchair.
Okay.
And that was, again, COVID had kicked back up again, and the hospitals were on lockdown, and I couldn't see my parents that often, and it was, we weren't allowed outside. It was pretty hellish, actually, in there.
I can't even comprehend what that must have been. And at this point, you then meet Paul. Is it at this point?
At this point, it's summer of 2021, and I get out of hospital, finish the summer, which is school holidays at this point, and then that next year, I start the last year of A-levels, and I tried my best to catch up over the summer with what I'd missed. And I just wanted to get on with it, because the last thing I wanted to do is drop a year and redo it all again. So I managed to do that and came away with results that I'm